We'll start off with the first track on History Books, and it's called Spider Bites. I think this is like the best way to open a Gaslight Anthem album after not having one for almost 10 years.
Literally my exact thoughts. Looking at my notes, I was like, perfect way to start the album. Like, it was comfortable, it was familiar, it was getting right back into it like no time had passed.
Yep.
Like this podcast.
Exactly like this podcast, which means that Brian Fallon's ripping us off.
Oh my God, we got to get in contact with his people.
And sue him. And then lose.
No way, he could have it. He could have it. I love him.
Brian Fallon now owns this podcast. But yeah, that track just right off the bat, it's like the tempo at which they're playing, and they don't play fast. That is a faster song in their catalog, but it sounds like something old, and something I was doing a lot in the last episode when we were talking about the Blink album was I was like finding older songs of the bands that I could compare the new songs to. And I'll tell you right off the bat with Gaslight Anthem in this album, there aren't songs that I can immediately compare the newer ones to the old ones. I can just say that song is in the vein of one of their older but like later older albums, like American Slang or something off Handwritten.
Yes, I got Handwritten vibes. It was definitely that comfortable Gaslight Anthem sound that I knew and loved and fell in love with.
Production wise too, and I'll get into this a little bit more when we get to track number 4. But production wise, right off the bat, it sounds like Gaslight Anthem. It's the drums, the guitar, just the overall sound. It just kicks it off and just lets you know this is the same band that you remember from the early 2010s. This is the same band that put out Handwritten, the same band that put out Get Hurt, same band that really gained steam as an alt rock, arguably indie band that really rose up over the years. That they obviously have their influences and they pay tribute to their influences. And Brian Fallon now is especially he's like Dave Grohl, where now he's just got famous friends that he could just ring up at a moment's notice and just be like, "Yo, you up?
Hey, let's collab."
Which is exactly what happened on the second track, which is called History Books, which, don't you know it, that's also the name of the album.
Ooh.
So I didn't call the part that has Springsteen on it. He does the second verse of this song, History Books, but he's harmonizing with Brian throughout the whole song. So
it was beautiful. It was beautiful and lovely. I loved hearing it. It was a gorgeous combination. That song definitely gave me, I mean, what I love about Gaslight Anthem is the wistful, nostalgic, regretful kind of tone. And this song really, really gave me that, especially in the lyrics. I thought it was great. Loved it.
Brian has, again, he has idolized Springsteen pretty much his whole life. And when Gaslight Anthem broke out in 2008 with the 59 sound, and at that point that was their second album. But when that album came out, there were endless comparisons to Bruce Springsteen. And when they played at, I believe it was either the Reading Festival or the Leeds Festival, either that year or the following year, Springsteen was there. And this is what I respect about Springsteen, is that when, like, he's a fanboy. You know, he just likes, when he hears something and he likes it, then he becomes a fanboy. A band I've talked about before on the show called Suicide. Springsteen loved Suicide so much so that his 1982 album, I think it was 82 or 84, called Nebraska, was pretty much a love letter to suicide. And he discovers the Gaslight Anthem in 2008, falls in love with him, and approached Brian and was like, hey, do you want to perform together like during your set? And you,
that's so cool.
Brian just like, he just evacuated his bowels right then and there.
What else can you do? I mean, I think that's the only appropriate response at that point.
What, you know, what I love too is that the first line of this song, History Books, the first like half of the first line is, what's that you say? And in the video, it's like a pro shot video that was part of like an interview they were doing with Brian when he was talking about his love of Springsteen and in befriending Springsteen and in performing with him. Brian's talking to the crowd and everyone, like, he asked the crowd, like, who are you most excited to see? And everyone starts going, Bruce, which is hilarious when they do that, because then you think they're booing.
It sounds like it, yeah.
And it's like, no, they're not booing you, sir. They're saying boo earns.
Smithers, are they booing me?
No, they're saying boo earns. Boo earns.
Are you saying boo or boo earns? I was saying boo earns.
See, it's hard to differentiate. You have to double check and make sure you heard right.
Yeah. So, but so everyone starts going, Bruce, Bruce. And Brian just like, he goes, what's that you say? And I love
that's
it.
Great.
You know, I'm just thinking it's coincidence, but I love how that's how this song began, because it reminds me of when I think that was the first time that the Gaslight Anthem ever performed with Springsteen, and he led into it. Brian led into it by saying that to the crowd, and then he came out.
I mean, I wonder if it was a coincidence.
That would be like, I wouldn't put it past Brian to do that, like as an obscure reference to the handful of like diehard fans who would remember that. At which point I start not only raising my hand, but doing the Miss Clifton, where now I'm holding my hand up with my other hand and like waving and
not only that, but that must have been like such a huge moment for him. How could that not be cemented in his memory? So
that's like, as a musician, when you look up to a fellow musician who, you know, set the tone for a genre of music, and then that individual, that icon, then looks to you and says, hey, you're cool and I really like you. Great example. This is like literally just happened. So consequence.net did this feature with my wife, Haley Williams from Paramore, and she interviewed Dolly Parton, because Dolly Parton has a rock like covers album coming out soon. So for Haley, this is a really big deal because she's interviewing one of her idols, and she's keeping her cool during the interview. And at one point, Dolly like name drops one of Haley's solo albums and says, I love this album. And now the interview's all in text, but let's go back to the evacuating of bowels, because that's probably what Haley Williams did when Dolly Parton's saying to her, I love your second solo album.
Again, that's the only appropriate response. And oh my gosh, that story, I literally have chills. Can you imagine? Oh gosh.
So
that must be just such an incredible feeling.
This song is the first time that Springsteen is appearing on a studio track with the Gaslight Anthem. He's performed with them before, but he is not, and very confident this is the first time he's actually like singing on a track of theirs. Because believe it or not, on the album The 59 Sound, that was not Springsteen that guested on it. That was Dickie Barrett. That was cool.
And that was cool at this show when he came on stage and they were together for that one. That one was really cool.
Is that the Patient Ferris wheel? I think that is like.
that it's tough. It's the same as like the Fall Out Boy songs where like I like the songs, but I can never match the song to the title. So it's hard. Like I have to listen to it to remember.
Yeah.
With that album.
But it was cool that, Dickie came out and did his parts. Yeah. Remember, Jimmy Kimmel came out too, and he was playing with the Bosstones later on that night.
Was he?
Yeah. Because
was I there?
Yeah, you were there. I think you were. No, I think you
that part.
I think you left actually. I think you stayed for some of the Bosstones and then you skedaddled.
I wonder. I might have left.
Yeah.
I don't remember Jimmy Kimmel being there, but
yeah, because Dickie was up until recently Kimmel's announcer on his late night show. So they're pals, and Kimmel plays like trombone or something. Like he came out with like the most random brass instrument or maybe like a wind instrument. And yeah. So anyway, I gotta point out that there is, you see this a lot in these tracks on history books where there is it's a balance between the sad songs and like the positive songs, the uplifting songs.
Oh yeah.
And this is a marked improvement from Get Hurt, which was written again, that was in the wake of Brian's divorce. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention he was divorcing the bass player's wife. Oh boy, would that be hilarious. Oh,
what's going on in this band?
Oh, that'd be comical. You see that
Fleetwood Mac.
It's like the Mormon Fleetwood Mac. Everyone's married to one another.
Seriously.
Let me backtrack a little bit. I've only had a couple sips of rosé. The bass player's sister, Brian was married to. And
yikes.
Then they divorce. And it's got to be a little bit of an awkward situation when you divorce your bandmate's sister, and then you go off and write a whole album where every song is about the breakup and the divorce. And then you got to share the stage with the guy and be like, hey, is it cool if I like write this fuck you song about your sister? No, I'm going to do that.
So I'm going to have to play this song about my sister. Okay. All right.
And
that's awkward.
I imagine that's why they split up for as long as they did. But I mean, it seems like amicable enough. I mean, they did that one brief tour and then now they're back together, and no one has quit the band. So I can only imagine that people have been cool about it and have since moved on. There's no bad blood.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's not like Brian and the bass player had hooked up. That would be interesting, but I mean...
Well, exactly, yeah. It's not like he divorced the bass player, so,
I'm not
sucks he's not his brother anymore, but hopefully they're, still on good terms.
Yep. So, track number 3 on the album, History Books, is called Autumn.
So can I hold you underneath
I fucking love this song. I am not holding back. Song of the year. It beat Paramore.
Oh, okay.
You First by Paramore was my song of the year. And then Autumn comes out. And sorry, Haley, I love you, but Brian just took your spot. This song, I fucking listen to this song like daily. And when it came out, I had it on repeat for like 24 hours. And there's no better feeling than a band reuniting after so long apart and not putting any music out, reuniting and putting out a new song that is like the best of their entire catalog.
It was such a lovely song. And I hope you don't mind, but one of my favorite things about Gaslight Anthem is the lyrics and the lyricism. And this song was one of the ones that this was like one of the first ones that really hit me hard with like the gaslight, like, ooh, ow, I wish I could do my life over. I'd be young better now.
Yep.
Oh.
I think now the first 2 songs I'd argue on this album, are melancholy. And this one, this one is a nice mix of melancholy, but also like, again, uplifting, because it's like a live in the now You know, like Brian's remarried. He's with someone that he loves very much based on what he's always posting on Instagram. So I believe the song is about her and just saying like, yo, look, we're going to hate each other sometimes, but and then eventually we're going to get old and one of us is going to die and leave the other one. Like one of us is going to outlive the other, but instead of worrying about that, let's just focus on what we're doing right now and, you know, enjoy being in the moment and being happy and content with one another. And it's also got, I mean, okay, I'm going to get up on my soapbox here for a second. It's got sentimental value for me because it just reminds me of, you know, Becky and I, you know, it reminds me of last fall when we had only been together for, you know, a few months at that point, and just that feeling of being in like a fresh relationship. And Nicole, this is only the second time I've ever experienced this in my life. So, you know, coming out of being in one for so long and then thinking like, okay, I'm never going to experience this again. And then experiencing it again and just, you know, really going back to a day very similar to today, actually, where it's the 7th of November and it was in New England, 60 degrees out, very unseasonable like. And it just took me back to a day around this time last year where it was like the one unseasonable day of the fall. And like, we just like went out and spent it together. And it's just like, I keep visualizing that song that day, listening to this song. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. That's so sweet. Thank you. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No, that's so sweet. No, it's so great when a song can catch you like that. So hey, hop on that soapbox because I'm about to hop on it in a little bit. So okay. Have that for real.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you let me gush like that. Because remember, I feel like I've been a curmudgeon-y, miserable bastard on this show for like the last, I don't know, like 2 years up until like last summer. And then things turned around for obvious reasons. And it's nice to actually like be positive for once. So
yeah, coming out of that and breathing that fresh air again. And you look back at all of those different seasons of your life and you're like, man, I was this, I was that, I was here, I was there, and here I am now. And I think this album kind of gives like those like wistful, nostalgic vibes of just looking in the past, seeing where you've come, seeing where you are, and all of that. It's very mature, I feel.
Mark this too when we get the top songs of 2023 playlist on Spotify. I'm gonna have to.
It's on yours.
This has to be number one on that list. I'll be surprised. It's going to be in the top 5, but if it's not the number one song from mine, then I will be very surprised. But okay, so there's that. Yeah, that's just this song just it helps me forget that there's, you know, larger problems in the world, and that I've also got like, you know, challenges of my own that like I got to think about every day. This song is good to like for 3 minutes, 4 minutes to just kind of escape from that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Track number 4 is called Positive Charge. This was the first new song that they had released from this album. This was the first new song that we had received from them in almost 10 years. And a couple of my observations. First, it is a very positive outlook.
Very positive.
I think the clip there cut out right before he gets to the line. But it was, I think also, I don't know if it was intentionally written in this fashion, but it definitely comes across as a welcome back song. Like the last line of the chorus being, how I've missed you and feeling good to be alive. That is not anything you would hear on Get Hurt. So it's nice.
No.
Yeah. It's nice that that was the song we got for the official reunion for the
that is there. Now that you say that, that is a very welcome back. I mean, when we were talking about Spider Bites, that's diving you in, but as this one, being like the first released, and to your point about it being positive, that literally is in my notes. I'm like, this is an incredibly positive song, like almost different, like a different vibe than I'm used to completely. I was like reading the lyrics. I'm like, well, I hear Gaslight Anthem, but what am I reading right here? That's interesting that could be How I've Missed You and Happy to Be Alive. Sorry, I don't have the exact lyrics, but it does give welcome back vibes. And
now genius.com is an excellent resource for, there's a lot of conjecture on there from like fans that, it's what they think the song is about, but then there are the actual legitimate annotations. And from a publication, Dork, Brian Fallon said, quote, "Positive Charge began as a message of joy to ourselves and to our audience. The central theme is about looking at the things you've come through and feeling like you want to go ahead with an open heart towards the future, believing that the best years are not behind any of us and the good we have is worth something."
What was I literally just saying with the last song?
Yeah.
Where we've come, where we are, and then I didn't say, but the unspoken.
Right.
And where we're going.
And again, this is coming off 9 years since an album that was all about heartbreak and divorce and nothing positive about it. The word positive, I don't even think is found anywhere in Get Hurt. So to have this was not only a nice welcome back, but a welcoming change. Another thing I noticed too, and talking about the production, I talked a little while ago during the first track about just the general production, the sound of the first track and how it sounds like a Gaslight Anthem song. But this song was controversial when it came out among, I'm going to say people on the Gaslight Anthem subreddit, who I'm not going to trash as harshly as I did the teenagers that frequent the Blink-182 subreddit, but Reddit's just a great place to go if you want to interact with people that just can't be pleased with anything.
Of course, naturally.
And they were digging all over just the way things sound in terms of the sound of Brian's vocals compared to previous works. I think that, like, I'm not listening to it and saying like, oh, this sounds bad. This sounds muffled. This, he's too low in the mix. Like, I'm not looking at that. Maybe I can recognize it, but I'm not thinking about that. I am thinking about the first time I heard the song, how surprised I was at how subdued everything was, where there wasn't any screaming. It was a more up-tempo Gaslight Anthem song, but at the same time, you can tell they're all in their 40s now. We're no longer running a marathon, sprinting a marathon. We are jogging at a somewhat brisk pace.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't have that technical knowledge to be able to like listen to something and be able to give, that kind of analysis. But I think that's something that, needs to be kept in mind. This is the first album after 9 years. These people are 9 years older. Age comes at us all. And, just kind of to be aware of that. But I couldn't like pinpoint. I didn't find any issues like with this song personally. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't have that technical background to be able to say either way, but I didn't really detect anything personally other than the difference being that positive vibe.
Yeah, I think like every music producer and every engineer is going to obviously have their own spin on how they set things up, how they record people.
Sure, yeah.
And I guess from what I've read, Peter Caddis has like other things that he's produced sound very similar to what we got on history books. So,
okay.
So for the people that are going in, like, there are people obviously familiar with those works saying like, okay, well, it sounds like this other album that Caddis produced. So like take that for what you will. If you're a fan of it, then great. If not, then, you know, if you like the, you know, you can like how the lyrics are, you can like the music, but then if you're like a super audiophile, then, you know, the production might be a different story. I'm not bothered by it. And I'm speaking to someone who's a bit of an audiophile. I'm not bothered by it, but I did notice just in general, they sounded with this song just subdued. They sounded older. They sounded like, hey, we're not in our 20s anymore. So we're not going to perform like we're in our 20s. And that's, you know, that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's reality. It's life.
I mean, look at the Stones. I mean, they're in their hundreds now and they're still cranking out albums. And I mean, I think they're, you know, that's a midlife crisis that never ended. They're trying to, you know, capture that sound.
I think that's more of an end life crisis at this point. Like, I don't, mid is very generous.
Well, let me just, while it's fresh in my mind, I will sidebar here, just bring it up because we talked about it at the end of the previous episode, the Beatles releasing a new song.
Oh yeah.
Which, have you heard it?
I did. I heard it this weekend. Yeah.
And it's fascinating because it's a hodgepodge of recordings over literally decades. It's the John Lennon's part is from the late 70s. George Harrison is on there, but it's parts that he recorded in the mid 90s when they initially tried to release this track. And then Paul and Ringo recorded all their stuff in the past year. So it's kind of bizarre hearing, you know, 38-year-old Lennon singing with 81-year-old Paul. But like you can tell with Paul and Ringo, they're in their 80s. They're performing and singing like they're in their 80s. Like
you can hear it.
Yeah, they're not trying to recapture the youth of 1962. It's not going to happen. It is a weird blend, but just because, again, the various generations of music that we have in a single track, but they're not like that I think is a great example of someone or an entity that knows act your age, perform your age.
Yeah. Don't try to be, you know, I mean, like the magic was beautiful for what it was. Don't try to continuously recapture it because what are you going to do? Be Madonna? And I love Madonna, but come on. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, I'm on a tangent.
Madonna's a bit of a plastic surgery nightmare too.
She got better. No, she got better.
Okay.
She got better. Yeah. She got I think she had to like cancel some shows or something, said she had some infection, came back with a whole new face. She's looking worlds better. Okay. So,
isn't she dating someone like literally half her age? She's dating like a 20-year-old or 30-year-old? Yeah.
Probably. Half her age at 20. Are you kidding me? Madonna's like 70.
And she probably told him too, hey, if you were just 10 years younger, I would have adopted you as my son.
Right? You know what? She's doing her thing, but but yeah, I mean, I liked Positive Charge. I liked it too. I didn't think anything weird of it. Oh, I did. Don't hate on the song. It's a good song.
Yeah, I again, it's Reddit is pointing all this out, and again, they are not. They're never happy about anything. They should be. Hey, the song's called Positive Charge. Be positive. You cartoon characters. You silly
Look at
geese.
The fucking lyrics for 2 seconds. Come on. How can you get mad at this song? This guy's like, I want to live. Knowing this guy. What are you talking about?
Knowing Reddit, they're probably also they loved Get Heard, and they want that misery, that endless misery, and woe is me, and all that.
Just listen to Get Heard again. Come on. Jesus.
All right. Before we break, before we hit the halfway point of the album here, the 5th track on History Books is called Michigan 1975. Saving up my body for when I'm in love. But if you want me now, you should call me up, 'cause I'm losing. I think this again.
Oh my God. 10 out of 10. This one's my song.
Okay.
This one right here is my song.
Allow me to move this soapbox over and I'll let you stand on it.
Take that soapbox. Okay. All right. Getting that into place. All right. Good. Thank you. Hopping on up. Fucking love this song. 10 out of 10. Replayed it So I did a whole re-listen today. When I got to this song again, had to replay it multiple times. My first playthrough of this album, I replayed this song, I'm not kidding, for an hour straight. Minimum. This fucking song, the lyrics, my notes, sad ass lyrics, OMFG, I'm sobbing but happy about it. I love this song. This song is beautiful. Listeners, if you don't listen to anything else from this album, listen to me. You listen to me right here. Michigan 1975. Holy fucking shit. It's so good. I'm going to cry. I love it.
The third verse of the song, quote, "What's that sound? The sky is falling. Are you still around? Because love doesn't scare me anymore." God damn. Like,
the whole song, the whole song. Oh my God.
There's this is one that you can really sit and visualize. You can visualize everything in the verses. And I think too, it's, again, I, with this album, can't really say it one song sounds like an older song, but this would fit in well with either one of Brian's solo tracks or something from the one Horrible Crows album, especially just the general beat of it, because it is a slower song. And I think this is the part of the, I think like from this part forward, I think like we've got a couple songs that are harder and up tempo, but this is the point of the album where, okay, things are going to start to slow down.
Yep. Oh yeah. This is the turning point.
Yep.
And oh my God, I cannot gush enough about this song. I wish I had better words to say. It's such a beautiful song. You know, when you hear an album for the first time, especially like, I don't know about you, but like I relate it to the things that are going on in my life. And sometimes some songs just hit you in the right way when you're just at this right place, when you're just like, oh shit. And there's a lot of songs on this album that do this for me. And this fucking song, man, oh my God.
Yep.
It just fucking hits me in the gut. I'm literally getting teary-eyed right now. Like, it is so fucking good.
So this is your autumn, maybe not in.
This is my autumn. Okay. This is my this is my autumn.
But is it good? But is it more like in a like a sadder sense or a positive sense? Okay.
Oh, totally sad sense. I'm gonna look up the lyrics right now. I had it up. Oh my gosh, and a tear is coming down. So if anyone watches, apologies. I don't think I have
let it out
waterproof makeup on right now, but it is what it is.
Oh God, you're gonna look like Olga and Hey Arnold.
I'm gonna look like I did in high school.
All you need is that layered hair, the black under the blonde, or the blonde.
Black. Oh my God. Yeah, just the whole, the whole chorus. If I could be free, why should I stay chained? And if that makes you sad, you should be ashamed. And maybe I'm not the one to blame after all. I'm saving up my body for when I'm in love. But if you want me now, you should call me up, because I'm losing my desire for being alive tonight in Michigan in 1975. You fucking kidding me? Are you for real right now, Brian? Fucking, what are you doing, man? Come on.
I do respect the fact that we've now, with the Gaslight Anthem, evolved out of the 50s, and now we're in
the 70s. I'm like, how old were you, Brian, in 1975?
Zero. He was born in 1980.
Was he? He was born in 1980.
But I mean, that's one thing I always loved about the Gaslight Anthem in the early days, was that they played the part. They all would perform on stage, or at least Brian and Alex Levin would perform like they were greasers. They like white t-shirts and jeans with black shoes, and their hair would be slicked back, and like they really got into that. So it's kind of like Indiana Jones. It's like we're rolling with the times, getting older and placing ourselves in the appropriate decade.
Moving along in history.
According to, well, this isn't really this is more just trivia. But according to Genius, the Gaslight Anthem premiered Michigan 1975 at a show in Michigan on September 16th. 1975? What? Just kidding.
They time traveled?
Marty! Brian, we got to take you back to 1975. Where
are we going? Michigan!
They played the studio version over the PA system in lieu of a traditional encore break after lead singer Brian Fallon highlighted that they hadn't rehearsed it enough to play it live yet. It was the only stop on the tour where the song was played, with Fallon stating that the fans were free to share any recordings of it after the fact. Okay, that's cool. That's you said.
That is really cool.
I mean, I think if they're on an indie label, so they probably aren't going to get as much flack if they were, still signed to a major label, but just being able to say like, here's the song, do with it what you will.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful song.
I don't even get why now. I mean, this is me just being curmudgeon-y, but why, like, surprise release albums now, like don't announce a date, don't lead up to it. Just obviously as a band you're going to make all your money off touring and merchandising, so just like once the album's done, just put it out there. Do the
Beyonce, she does the surprise albums, right?
She does the surprise. Beyonce, Taylor Swift, yeah. Now this happened years ago, but you and I have yet to talk about Brand New when they released Science Fiction, because that's what they did with that. That just
is that another episode that we're cooking up? Another episode idea we're cooking up?
I think maybe? It should be. I think it should be. I know some.
Are we cooking?
I know some people who are like now probably jumping up and down, going, "Yes, do it."
We gotta cook.
We are halfway through the album. This is the 6th track on History Books. It's called Little Fires. It's a Gaslight song.
It is a Gaslight song. And it's interesting. Before we went on the break, we were talking about how with the 5th song, with Michigan 1975, we started kind of going down a little bit. And I feel like with Little Fires, we did like a little bump up, kind of like a roller coaster. We did a little bump up before another bump down. Like this brought the tempo back up. It brought the pace back up. Definitely a good jam.
Yeah,
this is a jammy jam.
That's some good sequencing. That's what it's called when you're putting together the track list. So to break up I want to call it monotony, but to liven things up after things slow down.
Give a little spice, give a little bump in the roller coaster.
And it's got in the beginning, and then it's the bridge between the chorus and the verses. It is got that classic, like almost, I think I would say like 59 sound, like guitar riff.
Yeah.
And something else too. We were talking earlier about like, the technical side of things when it comes to song production. And something I noticed with this is before, like during that bridge, when you come out of the first chorus going into the second verse, the tempo of the song all of a sudden kicks up. Like it changes, which, most songs you want to keep a consistent tempo throughout.
Yeah.
And they, all of a sudden, it's not like twice as fast as maybe like 1.5x, that's what it would be labeled. Yeah. That's a better way of saying it. Thank you. Wine.
We literally just said the same thing, but yeah, sorry. I just needed to have some input, so I was like part of the conversation. Because like I said, I know nothing about the technicality, so I'm like, oh, okay, I know what 1.5 is. It's also 1.5. Valuable input.
If you're watching on YouTube, you can see Nicole has her college degree in the background. So, but
paid a lot of money for that,
as we all do. It's a scam, but. It speeds up and then it slows back down once we get into the verse. So that's I like that. It's a nice touch. It's I like just overall, and I'm sure I'll reiterate this again when we wrap things up talking about this album, is that they weren't trying to do a carbon copy of past Gaslight anthems, nor like anything that Brian has done, with his solo work or what have you. That like the general vein of Gaslight Anthem is there, but they were definitely trying to be progressive here and trying to do something different. And that
yeah,
because a tempo change can be jarring in the middle of a song, and I think the closest they ever got to that was Wherefore Art Thou Elvis on the Senior and the Queen EP. At the end of the song, I always feel like it, and it doesn't, but it sounds like it slows down a half step. But I play that song on the drums all the time, and I can tell you, I've tried to slow down the tempo at that point. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. It just like they're bamboozling us. But this one, it definitely speeds up a couple of times and then slows down. Yeah.
I don't know if I noticed it, but I'll have to re-listen to it and try to pay attention for it to see if I can notice that.
I do love the third verse on here, though. I was just looking at it. I'd like to see the sun. I do not feel myself today. I never thought I suspected things might go this way. I kind of feel like you and I are different planets now, a million light years away.
Mm-hmm.
So while it's a harder song, it's not necessarily a happier song.
Yep.
It's not.
It's still got that emo angst going on in there.
Yep.
It's still got that wounded heart in there.
Kind of reminds me. I mean, we're talking a bit about like Hayley Williams and Paramore, but it kind of reminds me of their album After Laughter, which it was specifically written in such a way where the music itself, the instrumentation is all very poppy. It's all very upbeat, but then the lyrics are the complete opposite.
I love that. It's like sunshine pop, like California Dreamin'. I love that juxtaposition.
Yep. And you listen to it and you're like, oh, this isn't one of these things is not like the others. Does not match the music I'm listening to.
I'm smiling through the tears.
This is a depressing bop. Okay, the next track is called The Weatherman.
And the hardest moon on furs its light to the lover still in love with the night. I am a weatherman.
Second fave.
Yeah?
Second fave.
Okay.
Lovely, 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 lovely. Looking at my notes. So this song, and especially the lyrics, hitting me at a certain point in my life. Oof. The lyric or the lyrics, whatever, the line. And she dreams of a life without rain, but that's something more than my two hands can bring. Devastating.
Yeah.
When you realize that and you're just sitting there like.
And it sounds like.
I wish I could.
It's such. It's like it's helplessness, but it sounds like it's such like a simple thing, like
it's accepting it.
Yeah.
I know it.
It's like it's
and it's sad and it sucks and you fucking wish it was different, but
it's putting simply the impossible, asking for the impossible or wanting the impossible, and then just shrugging and saying, what can I tell you? I wish I could help you.
I almost don't even think of it as the impossible, but just accepting that that's not something that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And wishing that they get that and knowing that you can't, and just kind of having to sit with that, knowing what the next things are. And
mm-hmm. I'm sure.
I hate to be like shrugging and be like, whatever, because I don't mean it to be like a whatever, like, I can't, what can you do? But because it's more than a what can you do, because you've tried the what you can do.
Yep. I also think that any meteorologist who's a fan of this band is probably taking offense, because it's a great analogy. Calling yourself a weatherman and knowing that like you're just constantly feeling like you're wrong all the time, because that kind of comes with the profession.
Maybe they can relate. maybe this is their song.
Yeah. You never, you imagine like,
this is their autumn.
You imagine like if a meteorologist, like a TV news meteorologist actually like uses this as their like their, music bed, like their intro theme.
Maybe. I mean, there's going to be a lot of weather people out there.
You can't remember. If you're staying in front of a green screen, you can't wear green because then your chest disappears. Yeah.
Or you can do it, just be aware.
I love it when they forget. They're supposed to know, but sometimes they forget and they put something on, and then the
like
map,
their tie or whatever.
Yeah, and then the map just shows up on their chest, and they're like, "Oh, this is awkward." I'm like, well,
it's gonna be 65 on my shoulder.
Some rain in my left pectoral region.
Yeah.
The next track on here is called Empires.
There shall be no mercy. Taught me to weep, but now not to get caught.
I would say that if the Weatherman could have been a Brian Fallon solo track, and Empires could have easily been a Horrible Crows track.
Okay. All right.
So
can I dive into my impressions with this one? Because the Weatherman and Empires, these two songs going into themselves, or this song going into the next. My note for Empires, Jesus fucking Christ, can I please get a break? No. Okay.
it's like I said this earlier, but this album's a great mix of depressing and uplifting music, but we didn't necessarily specify what the ratio would be.
Bruh. It's like, it is so hard to have these two songs next to each other. It is so fucking hard to have the Weatherman go into Empires. Like, they knew what they were doing. The sequencing, fucking sequencing. They knew what they were doing. I am fighting tears in my eyes. It all came so easy once I went numb.
God damn. Brian is like,
yeah. The music is gorgeous. Fucking look at his lyrics. Look at the lyrics. Oh my God. They will cut you to the fucking core. Seriously.
Now, there's obviously a vast difference between Billy Corgan and Brian Fallon in terms of, songwriting quality, but I've always been impressed at how, or just any musician, and these are the two that come to mind immediately, at how they can just churn out song after song, lyric after lyric, and at least have some like deep meaning behind it, just constantly have material at the ready. And like, if you think about it, like Gaslight's always been, hard on your sleeve, trying to get by. Maybe it's a challenge for Brian to write something that isn't totally miserable, totally downtrodden and melancholic. Yeah, I wonder. But this does get broken up though with the next track in terms of I wouldn't say it's necessarily a faster song, but like things at this point of the album definitely quiet down, if you will. Yeah. We'll go right in. The next one's called I Live in the Room Above Her. I'm totally now going against everything I was saying earlier in the show about like how I can't necessarily compare tracks on this album to past works, but this one, I know I've kind of done it with the last couple tracks, but this one especially, just the sound of it reminds me of 1,000 Years from Get Hurt. Just like that chorus, like it's like a in a different key. It's like a lower key version of 1,000 Years, but this is like, if you want to follow Get Hurt, this would be the song to follow it. Okay. I'm going to say this is my least favorite of the songs on the album. I couldn't
it didn't catch me. I liked the overall. I liked it overall, but of the 10, I would say this would be my least favorite. But when I heard this one, it brought me back to history books. It kind of brought me back to the beginning almost, and I kind of felt like I was going back to the beginning of the album almost. I don't know why I felt like such a connection back to history books for some reason, but I did.
Okay. See, I on a totally different page because I like this song. I think this is actually, it's not, I mean, it's nowhere near like Autumn level, but I think it's, I would have ended the album on this track. There's one more that follows this, but I would have ended the album with this one. I think if I had would stack rank it too, if I was looking at my top 5 for this, this would definitely be number 5. But there's I'm thinking of She Loves You, which was a B-side on American Slang. And
I don't know if I know that one.
Oh, that is, I think you know it. I think you know it. It's got some of Brian's best writing on it, and there's a line in I Live in the Room Above Her that takes me back to She Loves You in terms of the style of writing and the visualization. And it's in the, which verse are we looking at here? The second verse. We're gonna get a little religious here.
Okay.
Quote, "Now there's a picture in a Bible that I swear I've seen before, where she was bathing on the rooftop while David looked on." Now, I'm not I'm getting religious here. Now, I'm not enough to know the meaning of it, but that's just just visualizing it, just thinking about it. Cause are we equating something to something in the Bible and trying to equate it to modern times? Or, is it really pulling something out of the Bible? Because with She Loves You, for example, there's it's a Romeo and Juliet reference, but it's is it actually Romeo and Juliet, or are we equating two lovers to Romeo and Juliet and just calling them that?
Okay.
But yeah, I'd end the album with this one, but no, we got one more after that.
I don't know. I like A Lifetime of Preludes. I think that was a good way to end the album. I feel like it's sandwiched well.
Okay.
But I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Well, let's listen to it. This is the last track on the album, A Lifetime of Preludes.
But in my dreams I was in your arms, and the lives we lived, they seemed so far, and I could feel your...
What?
Okay.
All
right, you first.
Okay. What I liked about the album overall is it starts with a song that sounds like a Gaslight Anthem song, right? It didn't throw us. We were not thrown any curveballs. We were not subjected to something unfamiliar because people probably, haven't been following what Brian's been doing since Gaslight broke up. So there's that familiarity there. And at least with this song, even though, again, I would argue the track before it should be the one to close it out, at least we're closing it out with a song that sounds like a Gaslight Anthem song. So at least we're bookending it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I was thinking that it kind of wrapped the album up well, because it brought you back to that familiar Gaslight sound, and I feel like it's sandwiched well. Again, this is coming from someone who doesn't, technically know music or know sequencing or anything like that. This is like a layman's, take on it, but it felt like it rounded it out well, and I loved this song as well. I think this was probably my third favorite song. So I'd have to go Michigan 1975, Weatherman, although Empires That's also up there. And A Lifetime of Preludes. Those are my tops. The lyrics at the end hit me so fucking hard. Can I just read them? Because it is so fucking sad. I had it up. Okay, I have it up on this. Okay. So it's like the last bit of the song. So it's a little bit long. Bear with me. It's fucking heartbreaking. I remember holding hands on the bank of the reservoir, and it saddens me to see how far that is from where we are. I'm sorry that I let it end and that it got to me. I just miss the way I see you when I sleep. Because in my dreams, I was in your arms, and the lives we lived, they seemed so far. I could feel your heartbeat mixed with mine, and I loved you for dear life.
Oh, I know that the chorus, and the chorus, like he kind of changes it up a little bit there at the end.
Yeah, and I think so the lyrics say, and I loved you for dear life, but I hear I held you for dear life.
Yeah.
And whoo.
I mean, it can go like both ways, you know. But still. Whew. Yeah. That's good. God damn, that's good.
He fucking cuts you, man. I asked for this listening to this, but man, he fucking cuts you. What did I do, Brian? What did I do?
I want to be like, Brian, who hurt you? And then I think about it, I'm like, well, everybody, apparently. Shit. Fuck. I do like our approach too, where like I'm looking at, you know, I'm looking at things from like a musical standpoint, like, you know, I mean, like theoretical, but sort of like the, you know, the production, the composition, the overall sound. And I like that you dove into the lyrics. You dove into the meanings of the lyrics. I like that.
Thank you. That's the only thing I can contribute to, really. I'm glad it works.
And that's picking apart. That's how you pick apart the songs. Because obviously every song, there's going to be so many layers to it.
Absolutely.
And this is just ripping right into it. So this is great. I love this approach. We did not get the Taylor Swift treatment that Blink-182 pulled on us because we were getting ready to do the Blink review. Then they released 2 additional tracks for the album. I'm like, okay, cool. We got 2 more we got to go through. Gaslight hasn't done this. I think we just got these 10 tracks, and it's, it's actually unlike them to not release any bonus material because, see, I'm just stupid and didn't realize the version of Get Hurt that I've had ever since it came out was like the ultra deluxe fancy version, and I had several more tracks on the album that everybody else had.
Okay.
Because Get Hurt, I'm like, man, this is a long album, and it's like it's a difficult listen because every song is just so goddamn miserable. Then I'm looking around, I'm like, you don't have all these songs? Only me? Okay, cool.
It's just me. But I mean, it hasn't even been 2 weeks yet.
Right.
I mean, is it too early to say? Would you think?
It could be too early, yeah. Because Blink, I think, waited about maybe 2 weeks before they dropped additional music. Gaslight could be pulling Chili Peppers too, and like they could have had a whole bunch of they could have 10 additional songs that they're sitting on that maybe we will get like another album within a year, a follow up. I hope that they're sticking around for the long run because the thing about them is early, you know, in their initial run, they were consistent. They were putting albums out every 2 years. They were touring consistently. I mean, I get there's burnout that comes with that, but I mean, they're older now. It might not be, you know, an album every 2 years, but I would hope that they at least stick around and, you know, continue, you know, just churning stuff out when they want to. And, you know, because the chemistry is there. I mean, just I saw them last fall and it was, you know, it was a Gaslight show. It's everything I came to expect seeing a Gaslight Anthem show. I didn't go into it with any expectations of something different. And they did everything that I expected them to do, right down to Brian just talking incessantly between every song, which pisses the crowd off, by the way. They get so mad when he does that.
They should expect it by this point.
He talks like they complain he talks more between songs than they spend actually playing songs. And he loves
but
to just.
Come on, listen to what he's got to say. I mean, they're there to hear the music, but I don't know.
See, he
Cut him
just
a break.
He likes to just
chatting.
There's 3 bands I can think of that do that. There's 4 if you count Angels and Airwaves, but I'm not going to count them. There's Gaslight Anthem, and Brian's doing it really just to fuck with the crowd. Because do you think
he does it to fuck with them?
He's doing it to fuck with them because when he's in Boston, he talks shit about the Boston sports teams, but that's because he's from Jersey, so he's going to be rooting for the Yankees and the Jets. So
that's great.
When he's in Boston, he's going to just shit all over us, but he's doing it playfully because he knows it's going to rile everybody up.
Yeah.
And then there's I saw Foreigner recently, and now this is their quote unquote final tour. It's also none of the original members performing with them, but they spent like more time. I will give them credit for individually introducing every member of the band and like allowing them to like noodle and actually talk to the crowd. Like bands don't do that during shows, but ultimately at the end of it is like, dude, you spent more time doing that than you did playing music.
We've been here for 4 hours.
And then Isley, a band that I love, that I actually have a tattoo of. They haven't toured in a very long time, but every time I've seen Isley, Sherry Bemis just like should be on stage like, okay, so this next song is blah blah blah, and this next song is it's a song that has words and it's music, and this next song, and like, okay, ma'am,
you gonna play it?
You've spent more time telling us that you're gonna play a song than the song actually lasts. So
yeah.
We get it. You've got like 12 kids. We get it. So, but at least like Brian's having fun with it. That's what I'm getting. And he did that when I saw them. Yeah. He did that, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a Gaslight Anthem song, or it's a Gaslight Anthem show. I'm content. Although I will say, it was at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway Park, which just opened in the past year and a half. Fucking hate that place. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Is it bad?
It's like one step, because the House of Blues is literally like next door.
Yeah. Why did they open up something? There's House of Blues right there across the street.
So they want to have a venue that is like one step below the Garden or Fenway Park, but one step above the House of Blues in terms of capacity. And so like fairly big bands will play there. Like I believe the Yeah Yeah Yeahs just performed there. Literally the night after I saw Gaslight Anthem, I kind of wished I went to this. The late Jeff Beck performing with Johnny Depp.
Oh wow.
But the venue, it's like right on the corner. It's like it's in Fenway Park, so it's like right on the corner of it, and it's really awkward to get into. And the bathrooms are terrible, and it's like an upside down triangle when you walk in. So you're walking into the tip of it, of the triangle. And then it fills out, but it's like a reverse bottleneck. It's not a great design.
That sounds weird.
So like, I don't know. By contrast, there's another new venue called Roadrunner, which is like, I think one of the best concert venues ever constructed. So like if a band's going to come through town and play at Roadrunner, I would sooner go there.